Hey everyone, welcome out to episode 149 of a Nerd Named Mark podcast. It's been a while, it's been a couple months. For those of you listening to the podcast, you're probably like, hey, where have you been? Because there's still a gap in like a disconnect between audio listeners and people who watch the video version. So everyone who watches the video version who's watching this right now, you know from the YouTube channel, had some computer issues and then was restructuring some things and then I had a whole bunch of stuff lined up, but then there was this strike that started in July, and I had to postpone some interviews and guests, and then just I bought a new computer in July, got really excited. It died, it broke, and then I tried to switch back over to my old laptop, which was not working out. I was still able to get some video stuff done, but to fully create content the way I wanted to with the quality I wanted, I was like, you know what? This is taking a lot of time. Let me just put the podcast on the back burner because I had no backup plans, and usually I do. So I didn't even have anything to go for the 4-year anniversary of the podcast, which was in July. So that obviously didn't pan out. So it was really rough. It was a struggle. And then I was kind of like, well, maybe I should just restructure the podcast. Maybe I should make some changes, but like I always want to evolve my content and make it better and grow. Like you watching this one, episode 149, and then you go back and you listen to episode 1 because I wasn't doing video stuff back then. The quality is night and day. I think I'm more comfortable in a solo podcast capacity now. So I was like, well, what do I want to change to it? Like, what really could I change? I'm already talking about all the nerdy stuff I love. I don't want to take away from that. I've already, so I was like, I'll just update the image, the thumbnail, and then the actual podcast, like album cover, so to speak, that shows up when you listen to it. Because I kind of do that every year when I hit the anniversary in July. I'm like, all right, let's change the way the album art looks. Always try and change it up. So yeah, I did that. Also, if you haven't already, for those of you, I did launch Wave 2 of my merch. For those of you watching, I'm wearing the Night of the Living Buffa shirt, which is a Night of the Living Dead poster inspired, combined with Kamen Rider Buffa from Geats, which for those of you who don't know what that is, because I know I usually talk about comics and pop culture stuff, and I kind of keep the Toku stuff separate to an extent. I do briefly touch on it. It's basically Tokusatsu. It's Kamen Rider. So yeah, that's what I launched Wave 2. I didn't get some of the designs done in time, so I got like 2.5 update, so to speak, that's coming out. Already started on Wave 3. Like that's been not taking most of my time, but that's like where I'm focusing a lot of my energy is on the merch and a lot of my Toku videos. And I started live streaming, which I have been talking about for a long time. So I stream every Saturday now on YouTube. It's called the Tokusatsu Hangover. Basically talking about Toku toys, updates. I build some Toku model kits and stuff like that, and that's just fun, just to chill, talk to people while I ramble on about spending money on merchandise. So yeah, that's kind of like the gist of the update as to where the podcast has been. Also working a lot, but now that I have a new computer setup with more power, I can actually do things like streaming more efficiently. My editing and rendering times have drastically cut because I got a nice GPU, I got all that RAM, a nice CPU. So it's like the whole Power Glove thing from Nintendo. It's like now I'm playing with power. Like now I got it in control. And I was like, you know what? It's time to bring the podcast back. I missed doing it the whole other time. And the whole other time, like while this was going on, I was like, man, this would be a great podcast episode. Man, this would be cool. And then I'm just like, well, I just got done doing this other stuff. Now, I have to work. Like, I'm married. I have to spend time with my wife. I can't, just be, in my own little bubble and just ignore the world around me. I got a personal life. So I was like, you know what? Like, when the time's right, I'll bring the podcast back. And now it's back. And, a lot has gone on. Like I said, we had the writer strike. I believe they're coming to terms as of time of me recording this, the actors went on strike. I mean, I've seen a lot of movies and TV shows since then. I thought about bringing back the Nerd Name Mark Reviews podcast just because I've been watching so much stuff and I've kind of got that itch to like review more movies and stuff again. So that's something I'm like toying around with the idea. But then again, it's like more work to put on my plate, you know? And I have been actually thinking about like bringing on and hiring like an editor or at least someone who wants to do the thumbnails, stuff like that. I'm toying around with those ideas. It's not something I would do now. I'd probably wait till like after October, most likely, just because I've got my hand in some other my hand in some other cookie jars that are taking some money. And also, I think the last time I did anything, another thing too was I was in the hospital, so in July, and that kind of pushed back a lot of stuff and healing up and getting better, getting back to 100%. Like I'm able to uh, the mentality of fake it till you make it. So it's like, hey, I'm not at 100%. Like, and all my energy to get other content and other stuff done. Like, I was like, all right, the second the camera's off, second I leave this desk area, my office corner, I'm like on the couch. That's like, I am miserable. Let me rest. I mean, realistically, I should have took a break. I really should have, but you know how content creating is. Like, it's you got to keep striking while the iron's hot. You got to keep the momentum, and there was a good momentum shift. My From an audio listener analytics standpoint, I was hitting record numbers, and I was like, yeah, keep it going. But then it's like I have to push that aside. I have to take care of myself, and now I'm at 100%, thankfully. So it's like, yeah, let's get this shit going. And I was thinking, because we have my favorite time of the year. It's officially fall, by the way, at the time of this video going out. My favorite time of the year, not just because of pumpkin spice lattes. All right, spooky season, Halloween, horror, everything, thrillers, creepy. I like and I'm excited for October because every year I do just horror themed episodes for the whole entire month of October. And I think this might trickle in this year and be a little bit longer. I think there might either start sooner or go past Halloween, just because like the horror industry and fans, we are thriving this year with the amount of horror movies that have come out. And I'm already planning to do a ranking of all the not just indie stuff, all the major horror movies that came out, like whether in theater or on demand, like the top ones. I'm gonna like rank all the ones that came out this year. Because remember, we had Scream 6 in the beginning of the year. Then we had things like Terrifier 2. We've had Talk to Me. We've had The Last Voyage of the Demeter. We've had Cobweb. We've had so many, and I'm like, you know what? Like I got a lot to talk about with movies this year. This is great. Like this will definitely be a whole episode on its own, just ranking all of them, and that's definitely going to be happening because I've already got everything started to get set up. So that's definitely going to be happening at some point. I mean, even comic stuff. A lot of stuff has happened in the last few months. We had San Diego Comic Con, and I even did a video because we had a lot of Massiverse stuff, which was really exciting. The Massiverse right now is just so good. But at the same time, I'm really looking forward to Radiant Black coming out next month. Like, as much as I love the Dead Lucky and Rogue Sun and No One, and and we even got Radiant Pink Trade came out, and this and that. Like, the flagship of the Massiverse is Radiant Black, and it's like it's been a void not having a release since basically I think July. So it's like I'm really looking forward to that coming back. And since I'm already talking about comic books, I'm going to talk about the comic books I picked up this week because it's been a while. And I'm not going to go over all the comic books that I picked up in the last couple months. Just this week, like I've done some videos here and there talking about them. And on my live streams, I've been talking about my comics when I picked them up as well. But I got some free ones for Dawn of DC. I got the Batman, Catwoman, the Gotham War Prelude. Special edition. I haven't checked this out yet. Zdarsky's working on it. I'm not really a big Batman Catwoman fan. Um, Gotham War seems intriguing to me. Uh, so I always, anytime there's stuff like this, I read it because you never know, it might, you know, hook me in, and I'm like, let me go ahead and let me add this to my pull list. You never know. My comic book shop's good at like they see my pull list, so they know what I'm into. They know which writers I like, so they'll be like, hey, this writer's working on this now. We put it in your list if you want it. And most of the time I pick them up just to give it a chance because you never know. You really don't with comic books. Like if you're not a fan of a character but you're a fan of a writer, they can make you care as an ambulance is about to drive by really fast and really loud. There we go. So like the main thing is like hit like X-Men. I hadn't pulled X-Men in since Avengers versus X-Men, and so that's like what 2012, 2013, and then I was kind of out of Marvel and stuff like that, and then out of nowhere, like my comic shop's like, hey, you like Hickman? Like he's writing House of Powers of X. It's like kind of bringing the X Men back into Marvel. You should check it out. So I grabbed the first one. Next thing I'm hooked. And you've seen the videos, you've seen the podcast episode. I pulled all the connecting covers. I read it. I loved it. Even read the regular X Men lineup until he left, and it didn't feel the same. But like a writer can get you hooked on a character you don't like. So that's all I'm gonna say on that, Mark. Because hey, I follow writers and artists and characters too. Like there's some characters like Green Lantern I'll always follow. Like Power Rangers. If those are Power Rangers, I probably would have not known about Melissa Flores, who writes The Dead Lucky, and now I believe she's gonna be writing Spider Gwen. So I'm like, damn, like you're doing a lot of work, and but her writing is so good. I'm like, yeah, there we go. Like also with Go Go with Cena Grace, did not know who Cena Grace was. Then I'm reading Go Go. I'm like, this is good writing. Next thing you know, I'm checking out Ghosted in L.A. and I think it was like Get It Together, stuff like that. It's like so me being a fan of certain characters introduces me to writers. So I'm like sold. I mean, Kyle Higgins I already knew because Gates of Gotham and stuff like that, and Cowl. But it's really cool to like follow these writers when they go and take over a character you have no interest in, and then all of a sudden you like that. You're like, wow, this character isn't like I never knew this character could be this interesting. Next up, Batman and the Joker, the Deadly Duo. This is a Black Label one, and this is like the free preview special edition. I don't really mess with DC Black Label. I'm gonna be real with you, just cause like, in my opinion, Black Label start off good with Batman Damned, but then because of the whole bat penis thing, they ended up, censoring it, and I feel like they toned down Black Label. They didn't really let it be that label it should have been for DC. Even though they've had some good stuff since then, it's just me. I don't mess with that stuff anymore. Like it's just not. I'm picky with what I pull now. Next up, the finally out of 404 is the latest Dark Horse comic Stranger Things little arc called Tales from Hawkins. I really enjoy these. They add more world building and lore to the Stranger Things universe. Um, Even my wife's like, she's not big into comics, but like if it's the Stranger Things, I'm like, hey, you should check this out. And then she's like, oh, okay. And continuing that, we have the team up of Dark Horse and IDW for TMNT and Stranger Things teaming up. Yeah, that's a thing. I mean, I don't hate on it. I like. It's funny. I don't pull any Turtles normal stuff. I did like the last Ronin, and like TMNT Power Rangers and TMNT Power Rangers 2. I like Turtles with the crossovers. If it comes to like regular Turtle runs, I wait for trades. If I even end up picking them up, sometimes I just read them digitally. Um, Another one is from Boom Studios, House of Slaughter 17. This is Alabaster Part 2. Dude, like, Tinian is killing it with House of Slaughter. Like, if you haven't, like, go check this out. It is so good. Another one this one's from IDW. We have Godzilla Here There Be Dragons. This is issue 3. Now, I keep telling everyone, this is such a good comic because you basically have Godzilla and Kaijus during a time of, like, pirates and Napoleon and stuff like that. Like, it's so cool. Like, and the artwork is great. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the artwork is phenomenal. Then because I always support Archie Comics. I got my Sabrina the Teenage Witch annual. Um, Listen, I love Archie Comics. I still pull Archie. Like, I have from the episode I did. What? How many years ago was that? It was over a year ago. I don't know if it was 2 years ago. I think it was last year when I did the episode where like my mom had all these like first print. She's the original owner of these Archie comics from the '60s, like early '60s, and I'm like, you're just sitting on like art. You never even told me. Like I'm a grown adult, 30s. I think I was like 35 or 36 at the time. I'm like a grown adult, and you've been hiding these from me my whole life. I was like, I can't even. I respect it, but like, you got to give me some of them. Like, I was like, we could do a trade. We'll trade some comics, and I did. I hooked her up with the newer Boom Studios Buffy the Vampire Slayer run for some Archie comics because she's a big Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan and Angel and stuff like that, and Charmed and that whole lineup of shows that were playing back then. And I was like, yeah, we can work this out. Next up, it is Hispanic Heritage Month, so I had to get the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern #3 cover because I'm a big fan of Kyle. No one ever talks about Kyle. It's always Hal or John or everyone just shitting on Guy Gardner, which we should because he's a horrible character. He is. But I always love Kyle, especially the suit. Like he has one of my favorite Green Lantern suits, like the black with the white chest piece. Like such a peak suit. I mean, I even got the Ion from that run tattooed on me. Next up, because I was gassing this up, and I'm mad. I was on podcast hiatus because I've been gassing up Blue Beetle for a while. I mean, I got the movie 13-inch movie statue right here. I do got a Blue Beetle shirt. I got some of the other figures. Huge Blue Beetle fan. Like same with Booster Gold and this and that. And I did get finally #1 for Dawn of DC because Blue Beetle is back. And look at that! Look at that cover. My light is kind of messing with it. Dude, this is so good. I love this cover. This is a variant from Emmanuel Valtierra. Like, and Trujillo's writing it. Listen, like, in Gutierrez on the art and everything else. This is good. Because I loved Graduation Day. I had the floppies for it. I even had the one where you buy it at Target and it comes like the McFarlane little figure. I bought that, but then I got the trade when it came out because I'll get stuff when they run like floppies, and then if I really like something, I'll get the trade for it, which is why I like, for example, most of the trades I get besides the Massive stuff is Power Rangers, and then I'll go through and I'll get certain Boom ones like once and always. I stopped pulling it like 7 or 8 issues in, and then I was like, I'm just gonna get the trades, uh, certain ones like that. I'll do a lot of DC stuff in trades. Not really Marvel because Marvel really, I don't know. Marvel hasn't been hitting. Like you'll notice, I didn't pull any Marvel comics at all, like in a while because I don't know. There's just nothing. Like after was it Alamed's Miles Spider-Man run, and then they kind of started back over the issue 1. I was kind of like, all right, that was the only Marvel thing I was really pulling besides Kate's working on Thor and Hulk. And other than that, like I wasn't really pulling anything. Hickman left X-Men, so I was like, all right, but Hickman's coming back for Ultimate Spider-Man. I need to check out Ultimate Invasion. I really do because I heard that is like really good, and if that's leading to the new relaunch of the Ultimate Universe and Ultimate Spider-Man that Hickman's writing, I'm like, you know what? If Hickman's writing, I'm just like, in Hickman we trust. So I'm sure Ultimate Spider-Man will get the same care and great storytelling that House and Powers of X got, that he put into X-Men. I'm hoping we see that with the Ultimate Spider-Man. So I'm very hopeful that turns out good. And then the last comic, these are my boards. I gotta buy more boards. I only got like 6 left. Is Wonder Woman #1. Dude, look at this great variant cover. Like this thing is amazing. I love the Like I like the pastel cotton candy colors. This is a artist spotlight variant cover by Rose Besh, and it kind of gave me like almost like Scotty Young style, like when he does like his variants, which I love. As anyone knows, I have a long box of just Scotty Young variants, but something about like the coloring with kind of like that paint drip effect on it. Like this is one of my favorite covers I think I've gotten this year. Like I'm not even joking either. And obviously it's written by Tom King. I do like Tom King as a writer. I've never since New 52s, I don't think I've pulled anything Wonder Woman. I usually like if it's Justice League or this and that, and like Wonder Woman's in those comics or something. But from a solo run standpoint, like after Brightest Day and Blackest Night, New 52s came out. I'm like, when you get into Wonder Woman, I was like, couldn't really get into it because that was around the time I was. But it wasn't just the character itself because I like Wonder Woman as a character. I think it was more or less I was just burnt out. Does anyone remember Brightest Day and Blackest Night? I was so burnt out on comics after that happened, and then they jumped right into New 52s, and I was like, oh, I don't have the energy for this. And then shortly after, a few years ago, we got Rebirth, and I was like, man, like I don't want to do this again. And this is when I was like, at the time in this whole time frame post that stuff, the only thing I was really pulling was Batman and Robin, Green Lantern, and Aquaman, 100% Aquaman, because that Battle for the Throne stuff that was going on, and we had this whole, you know, Batman and Aquaman kind of vying to lead the Justice League, and then we had that cool panel where they all confronted Arthur Curry, and like you see that thing where he's in the cave and the water drains out, and he's holding Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, like, and they're like on the ground, like basically slumped all of them, like that stuff was really cool. But like I like Wonder Woman as a character. I still think from all the DC films, I know issues with the ending aside, Man of Steel and Wonder Woman, the first one, are two of my favorite like DC movies. And I just never could get into the comics, and I always blamed it on like fatigue because around the time some of these great runs were coming out, I was in the Marvel. My toes were dipped in the Marvel pool, and Boom, and like Image, and it was like and I started trade waiting, and then ended up not getting the trades because it was like out of sight, out of mind. But this issue, I read it, and I kid you not. And obviously, shout out to Rollover Queen on here on YouTube. Good friend of mine, been on his streams a few times. He is like my DC go-to guy. Okay, he'll I wouldn't have checked out Green Arrow for Dawn of DC if he hadn't, tweeted about it and gassed it up and hyped it up and was like, yo, this Green Arrow is it. He did the same thing for Wonder Woman. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go check it out because there's very few opinions of people who talk about comics on the internet that I trust. And I was like, if he says it's good, it's Tom King, it's good, it's cooking, I'll check it out. I go, I buy it, I read it. I'm like, damn, this is good. Call my comic shop. They use like a cell phone, so they got caller ID. They see it's me. And I'm like, hey, I picked up that Wonder Woman #1. Let me put that on my pull list because I'm so intrigued in this story right now because there's that air of mystery, not a lot of actions per se, but like this setup is what got me hooked in because it's now kind of like there's a mystery there, and if you get a mystery in a comic where there's questions I have, then I wholeheartedly when I'm done reading, I'm like, I need answers to this. It's on my list, 100%. So yeah, Wonder Woman #1. This might be like this is not only my pick of the week for comics that came out. This might be my pick of the month, but definitely one of my favorite covers of the year so far. So I'm just like, man, that's such a good comic. It's like I can't even hate. Like, there's nothing. It's really good. And now, I do go back like for trade stuff. Like I go back and I buy trades like every once in a while. I'll go to like Book Off, or I'll like go to my like other little local bookstores around here. And sometimes I try to avoid Amazon, not because I'm against Amazon. I just want to put money into brick and mortar mom and pop shops first. Um, so I'm definitely going to be getting some more trades. Uh, some people I've even asked like, hey, suggest some Wonder Woman like trades for me to pick up because like this is really intriguing me, but I wanna like get more backstory to where Diana is now. Because the last time I read anything was when like her and Clark were out, and she was kind of like he was like kind of teaching her how to like have her secret identity and separate the two, like the duality of things. So I'm really intrigued. So I got some recommendations already, so I'll be checking those out. Other than that, man, a lot of like I've been building a lot of my sodos. Like I've been doing a lot of sodos. Manga, on the other hand, I haven't really been like buying a lot. I kind of slowed down because I want to like. It's not that I went too hard, too fast collecting manga. It's more or less I have a rule. If I'm not at 80% of my collection read, I stop buying. So I've been catching up. I did just buy some manga. I just don't know where I don't know where I put them. Oh no, man, they're right here. Oh no, I knocked stuff over. So I did pick up four new volumes, and one of my like this is so like chill read, wholesome. I did get Insomniac's After School Volume 3. Then I picked up, obviously, my Rent a Girlfriend Volume 4, because, that manga's never going to end. And then another, like, cool, wholesome one is The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses. I just got Volume 4. And then lastly, I had to, Go Go Loser Ranger Volume 6. And I'm still reading manga. I haven't really been reviewing them. It's not because I stopped buying manga and I stopped reading. It's just, like I said, computer breaking, time constraints. Like, I'm already reviewing other stuff. I have a full time job, mind you. I have a day job. And like I said, I'm married and all this other stuff. So I don't really. I have to pick and choose my battles and my content that I want to pick, that I want to, like, create for the week. Because I only have limited time. Most of the time, I'm doing my video recording like Sunday morning and like Monday morning, or I'll do my recording like late Saturday night or Saturday morning. It just depends on my week and how tired I am and how much stuff I have going on and what kind of announcements are made. But manga, I'm still reading. Um, I do have people asking me, "Hey, you could do follow up reviews?" Like, 'cause I started reviewing Gogo Luda, and people ask me, like, "Hey, have you read the other ones? Like, where's the reviews?" And I appreciate those people because, one, you're checking out my content, and two, you actually want to hear my opinion and my review of stuff. So it's still like, whoa. It's kind of like with the merch when people buy my my shirts and then they tweet about it or put on Instagram, and because I use Fourth Wall, I get to see that, and I can send, like, on my phone through the Fourth Wall app. They have a special app. I can send thank you videos, and I personalize and stuff, and I do that, which is really cool. So it's like one of those things where it's like when I know people. That's one thing when you see the numbers, but when you see a username and someone commenting something, it's like, holy crap. Okay, I know the views are there, but like someone's actually like replying and starting this dialogue. So I'm like, cool, thanks. I guess it wouldn't be a Nerd Name Mark podcast if I don't talk about video games. Because, man, there's been a lot of stuff, dude. A lot of games coming out. Like, okay, I also contribute Diablo 4 to me not really doing the pod because I was playing Diablo 4 a lot. Since then, I have stopped the patching and this and that. I kind of got burnt out on it. We got Baldur's Gate 3, which I have. I have not started playing it. I've been playing Moonstone Island. I like farming, like stuff like Stardew and like Core Keeper and stuff like that. And like, what's the other one? Rune Factory. So I'm playing Moonstone Island on Steam. It's fun. Farming, slice of life. You collect spirit monsters, so it's kind of like Pokemon. Uh, I've already put like 27 hours into that game, and it just came out like a week ago. And then on top of that, on the Switch, I went back and I'm replaying Rune Factory 4 because I don't remember. I never finished it because I got so sidetracked and other games came out. And I'm playing something on every console, by the way, because then on the PlayStation 5, due to Final Fantasy VII Reunion being announced with a release date of February 29th, which is a day after my birthday, by the way, I started playing Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PS5 because I played it on the PlayStation 4, but I never played it on the PS5. So I was like, let me play it on the PS5. And then on the Xbox, I'm playing Texas Chainsaw Massacre because I like those. Was it? What are they? Are they called asymmetrical game? What are they like? But this one isn't really that because it's not like 4 or 5v1. It's like 3v4. You can either play as the family or the survivors, and I really love it because it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Not one of my favorite horror like franchises. I enjoy the original and the sequel. I do enjoy the remake they tried to do. I didn't like that new one that came out last year. That was like unenjoyable for me. But this game is a lot of fun. I do enjoy it. I think because not it's really lonely when you play something like Dead by Daylight and you're the killer and you're just solo queue, like because it's just me and I'm going to hunt these people down. Whereas like with Texas Chainsaw, it's like, okay, I can be with two other teammates when I'm the killer. I can talk to the people. I'm not sitting there just by myself, like, all right, let me go take out the survivors today. So it's, yeah, I like that. Like, it's fun. It's really enjoyable. I mean that whole heart. Like, it's such a great game. I hope it gets proper support and it has longevity and it has some legs to it, because I did see that the Evil Dead game is not getting any future DLC support. Like, servers are up and this and that, but I don't think they're. I don't think that's going to be lasting too much longer. I don't think it did good, and it sucks because I love Evil Dead. Big fan. I was hoping we would have got some DLC for like Evil Dead Rise, which was one of my favorite movies this year. I was really hopeful. I was really optimistic, but I don't think that's going to be the case, sadly. And that's really for games. I mean, obviously, I'm still playing W Supercard on my phone because I'm addicted to card games on my phone. Oh, I got indigestion. I ate right before I did this. But that's really it. I just want to do like kind of like a pseudo like update video and audio podcast episode. The show is back to its regular schedule every week. So I'll probably have this go live on Wednesday going forward, just like before. And yeah, it's just, I really, I got some stuff planned, got some stuff cooking. I just wanted this to be kind of like, all right, here's an update, but then throw in the usual stuff, the comics, the video games, movies. Too many, too many. Between Blue Beetle and everything, like, there's too many movies. I don't even want to get. That's like a whole nother hour that I could just talk about all the movies and shows I've been watching, and I don't really want to get into that. But I'm glad to be back. Glad the show, the podcast is back and running. Um, I think you guys, and a lot of people reached out to me too, like, "Hey, did you just end your podcast?" I'm like, "No, just a brief 2 month or so. Wait, yeah, a little bit over 2 months of a, like, yeah, hovering around 2 months of like a little break while I got computer stuff. Cause like, dude, the computer, when that shit broke, like, I got it through Amazon, which was like the big mistake right there. Don't get through Amazon. And so it broke 3 weeks after having it, right before the 1 month cutoff to get like a return, right? So I'm like, great. So I tried all my stuff to fix it. I called their tech support. Their tech support was unhelpful because they were trying to have me do stupid stuff like, oh, did you plug the right power cord into it? Do you have a second power? I'm like, no, I know what I did. I already unplugged it. Popped out the CMOS battery. I reset the motherboard. Like, I did all this stuff. I was like, half the motherboard is not getting power. It's dead. And they're like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I worked in IT. I went to school for IT, like information technology. It's computers, computer science, and they weren't helpful. So then I got it through SkyTech Gaming. I called their uh, help tech support and like help desk or whatever. They we narrowed down the issues, but it was one of those things because I didn't buy it through them. Like, I could have sent it in for like repairs and this and that. And I was like, you know what, like, I don't have to deal with Amazon being a middleman, and then let me just return it to them. So I start the return policy, which they're like, okay, box it up. Here's your QR code. Drop it off at UPS. And I do that. They get it 2 days later, and then they're like, okay, but how the return policy works, it could take up to 30 days for the refund. Now I'm waiting for the whole price of this computer. And I'm like, well, okay, like, I'm thinking, okay, you have it. You guys could check it out real quick, process my refund. Let's get this going. You're a big $1 billion company, right? No, not the case. I didn't get the refund until like the second week of September. And the downside is I needed a computer. So I went like 2 weeks without a computer. It was like towards the end of August. I was like, I can't wait for the refund. I can't, like, because I was going to use that money to get a new one, put it towards a new one. I was like, nope, I got to double dip now. Now I got to go and spend all this money on a computer, wait for this refund. And so it was just a pain, dude. That was like the most stress I've had, especially with all that going on and dealing with the fact that just before the computer issue started happening, I was in the hospital. So I was like, man, this is shitty. I don't like this at all. But water under the bridge. We're all here now with the computer safe and sound. But yeah, that's it. But yeah, people reached out. Like, I appreciate that. I always do. I always appreciate everyone, for the support, the love, whether it's the support of my YouTube channel and the Toku stuff, or my live streams, or my merch, or anything that, like, I would appreciate all of you so much, because like that it's not why I do it. I mean, I do it because I want to have fun. I want to share my opinion, and I want to, like, talk with people. Like, I made a lot of friends doing this. It's really cool, and like the collabs and everything else. But like, I do appreciate when I get the feedback and the support. That means the world to me, more than the monetary gain that I've gotten from doing this for 4 years now. But that's it. This has been episode 149 of a Nerd Named Mark podcast. Next week is episode 150. I have nothing special planned. I'm not even kidding. I really don't. I probably should think about that, because at the time of recording this, I have some time to really plan something out. I might actually put a lot of work into that episode. I'm going to try anyways. But if you haven't already, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're listening, whatever your listening platform is, it could be Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcast. I think it's Google Play Store podcast. I don't even know what they call the Google one. I really don't. Everyone keeps changing their names constantly of what they are. Basically, if it's on a podcasting platform, just type in a Nerd Named Mark podcast. If you're listening and you haven't actually gone over to the YouTube channel, go check out the YouTube channel. Actually, oddly enough, it's in the link. The link is in the link. The link is in the description to the podcast episode. You just click on that, and if you have, it opens up another app that's YouTube. Then you can hit the subscribe button and be like, then you can go through and be like, oh wow, he does buy a lot of toys. He's really not financially responsible, is he? I'm not. That's the secret. I'm not financially responsible. But that's it. I thank you guys for watching. My name's Mark, and I'm a nerd. Dude, I almost actually forgot my own little sign-off that I used to use. It's been so long, and now I just ruined it by talking after. All right, I'm going to end. This is it.